So Wikisource is one of the Wikimedia projects. We have a lot of Wikimedia projects. The most popular one most people know is Wikipedia. We have Wikidata, Wikicommons, Wikivoyage, Wikisource, Wikiquotes, and a lot of wikis. But today we'll be just doing a basic training on Wikisource. So I'll share my screen now so I can show the interface of Wikisource. Okay, I believe you're all seeing my screen now. Okay. Yeah, so this is the interface of Wikisource homepage. You can easily come here by going to your Google and typing Wikisource. And then the first search it brings is the Wikisource website. So this is the homepage of Wikisource, just like other Wikimedia projects. If you have a Wikipedia account, you could log in. I'm logged in, that's why my username is here. If you're not logged in, it will show, I think, the option to log in, and then you log in with your normal Wikimedia account. So I'm logged in, and the same way contributions are tracked on other Wikimedia projects, contributions are also tracked on Wikisource. So basically, what does Wikisource do? Wikisource, like I said earlier, is one of the Wikimedia projects, and Wikisource deals mainly with public domain materials. What are public domain materials? These are materials that are without copyright restrictions, either through exploration or through dedication. Now, most of the examples I'll be showing you, you would see that most of the works that are on Wikisource are old works. Just looking at this homepage, you can see a work of 1894. You can see a work of 2025, which is pretty recent, but I'm very sure this work was dedicated to the public domain. That's the reason why it is here. And that work of 2024, we can see 1915, 1913, 1901, just to show that you can find a lot of old, really old works that enter into the public domain in Wikisource. So I tell people that the best way to start contributing on Wikisource is through the proofread of the month. So every month there's a book that is being proofread on Wikisource, and for this month, the book is titled Love, Poems, and Others, published in 1913 by D.H. Lawrence. So this is the current proofread of the month. So now this work, when I click on it, this is an item, an index. You know, with Wikipedia, we have articles. With Wikidata, we have items. With Wikisource, we have indexes. So this is an index. This is a normal novel that like you can read. This is a normal novel you can read. So basically, there are books, there are articles, there are poems, there are any kind of written work that enter into the public domain could be added on Wikisource. So I'll try and go back to the main page. So you could search for different works that are in the public domain. Using this Explore Wikisource, you could search for them by author, by their works. So let's try and search for some Nigerian works that are on Wikisource. So we are going to go by nationality, and we can see authors by nationality. Let's check for Nigerian authors. Nigerian authors. So these very few. These are the few Nigerian authors whose works are on Wikisource. And most of these works are going to be in the public domain. If you check on Sam Ajayi Crowther, we can see the work he has is this, a vocabulary of the Yoruba language, which was published in 1852. Like I said, most of the works you find in Wikisource are very old works because Wikisource deals with purely public domain materials. We see Ibrahim Garba. Now this work was published in 2020. So this is a more recent work, but now when we check, when we check the license where this work was published, CC BY, that is attribution, which allows free use, distribution, and creation of derivatives. So as long as the license is unchanged. And the good thing with Wikisource is you could find relation with other Wikimedia projects. So like now, but in this corner, we can see sister projects, Wikidata item. If I click on this, it's going to take me to the Wikidata item of this author, Ibrahim Garba. So Wikisource is also linked to other Wikimedia projects. This is under Nigerian author titled Adeniran Oke. This is his work, Marriage in the House versus Marriage in the Church, published in 1921. So I'll try and just go into how to contribute on Wikisource, because I'm just trying to show you the whole interface of Wikisource. So there's also a monthly challenge, like as this book, Love Poems and Others, is the book that's proofread by the month, chosen, I don't know, maybe randomly by Wikisource. But there's a monthly challenge you can go to where you can see a lot of works you could contribute on for each month. So for the month of April, Wikisource tracks the number of contributions. This table here shows the dates. So today is 19th. I'm trying to scroll up. Okay, today is 19th. So far, 40 works have been preferred, 32 works have been validated. In total, 72 works have been worked upon. And this is the total of all the works that have been worked upon for this month. For each day, you see the number of works that have been preferred, validated, total number of pages, and then the total works for the month. So let's check. So normally, this is how a Wikisource indexes. We have some that are coded in green, some coded in red, some coded in yellow, and some coded in white with red text. Now, the difference is when you import a work into Wikisource, this is how it usually comes. This one, white with red text, meaning this work hasn't been worked on at all. So if I click on this now, this is a random page. It shows me the book, the work, but nobody has worked on this at all. This one on my right-hand side is what was imported. And this is just the transcription that the Google CR gave it. It hasn't been worked on at all. That's why it's white background, red text. Now, once you work on it, it becomes black text, red background. That's this red, meaning someone has worked on it, but I using this highlight here, this page needs to be proofread. Someone has worked on it, and that person needs to proofread. And the good thing with Wikisource is one person cannot complete a work alone, because you can't be the one to transcribe a text, proofread it, and validate it at the same time. Because if that is accepted, a lot of people will just be doing anything. So if I proofread a work, I cannot validate it. A different Wikisource user would be the one to validate it for me. So it's good to work as a team or in pairs when working on Wikisource. So red stands for it needs to be proofread. And then once it's in yellow, it means it has been proofread, but it needs to be validated. So if I proofread a work, it moves from red to yellow, but then it still needs to be validated. And so once it has been validated, it becomes green. This page has been validated. So most times when you import a work, it all comes out like this, white background, red text. Please let me know if there's any question, if I need to come back, or if I need to explain anything again. So I was trying to show how a work is supposed to be once all pages has been transcribed, proofread, and validated. So this is the book Tarzan and the Lost Empire. And we can see this book has been transcribed. All pages have been proofread. All pages have been validated. That's why everything here is in green. So this is what we are looking to achieve for every work we pick, to try and validate all the pages, make all the pages validated. So I'll just go to the book we'll be working on today. So I'm choosing a very easy book. These are a lot of options you could choose from. So I'll be choosing this book, England by England and Other Stories, written by David Albert Lawrence, published in 1922. So we can see that this work like I said, once you import a work, it comes out like this. Our majority of these works are white background, red text. And the moment you proofread it, it becomes red background. The moment, the moment you transcribe it, it becomes red text, red background. The moment you proofread it, it becomes yellow background. The moment you validate it, it becomes green background. And then there's one more I didn't talk about. Actually, there are two more I didn't talk about. There's this ash and then there's purple. So ash are for works that you cannot work on, that does not need to be preferred. So this page does not need to be preferred. Why? Because this is the cover page. If I come, or we can see blank pages. This page does not need to be preferred because in books there are blank pages like this page now. This page is blank. The pages I'm referring to are the pages on my right. This page is blank, so it does not need to be preferred. So they appear in ash. And then the third one is, the last one rather, is purple, is when a book is problematic. Maybe it's not clear or the text is faded and you don't want to like proofread the wrong thing. You just tag it with the purple tag, meaning this page is problematic. So I'll be working on all the steps. So like I said, when you first import a book, it comes out like this. So I'll be working on page 54, which is the first page that hasn't been worked on at all. So when I click on page 54, on my right-hand side, it gives me the book. On my left-hand side, it gives me my transcription. So now, normally, I could easily say, I would start typing the main road to stop. Here is, but then it's just a lot of work. So we could use the inbuilt Google OCR. And so you come up here, transcribe text. You make sure you're choosing Google OCR, and then you transcribe the text. Now it has transcribed the text on this page. All we need to do is to format it. And the good thing about Wikisource is, if you're a person who loves reading books or who loves reading novels, you really enjoy this because you could literally be reading a novel and you're working on the novel. You could be reading a novel and you're transcribing a novel. It's that easy. So now, another easy thing I say with different Wikimedia projects is, if you're trying to create a project, you can look for a similar work and then just look at how it was done so that you could get the right thing. Now I'm just going to open on that tab and open the same page. Okay, let's do this one. Okay. Okay. On my first tab, I'm going to open a page that has been worked on, page 53. This page has been proofread but needs to be validated. And on the second tab, I'm going to open the page I just want to work on, page 54, which I just want to work on, right? So I'll go back to transcribing my text. After I've transcribed my text, now we realize that there's an header. And Wikisource uses basic HTML. So if it's very easy, if you're not tech inclined, so there are a lot of easy ways, but the app that is always very sure for me is just using what has been used and what works. So you can see that this was the header that was used. This one on this tab where I'm currently on is the work that has been preferred. So I'm just looking to see how they did that. So this is the way they did their header. So I can easily just copy the code and take it to the page that I am creating and make my own header. But because this is page 54, I make this 54. And because this one is by the right and this is by the left, I change this to L. I don't know if what I just did. Okay, let me open the next one. I don't know if what I did, if you understood what I just did. So I'm opening page 52. So, okay. Okay, so it's still RH. So what I did was I copied the code that was used to create this header. You know, this ticket please and page 53. It's like the header for this page and it's different from the text of the main story. So that was what I copied. I copied this text into the text I was. I'm working on page 54, but I came to page 53 and page 52 to copy what was used to paste in my page 54. And so what I now need to do is, I do not need this again. So my body is starting from the main road. So all I need to do is just work on the indenting. Where there's a paragraph, I put the paragraph. Where there's a space, I put a space. And you could be reading, because sometimes OCR does not give you the exact transcription. There could be minor differences, minor omissions, like a comma, a colon, a full stop, the spelling of a word. So you could just read through to confirm that what was transcribed is correct. So I just keep reading. These pictures are mostly evidence for some, right? So I'm just trying to work on this page. As I said, that if you love reading, you could be reading the novel and you're also working on it. Which is what I'm doing now. I will not do. This is not a new paragraph, so I just keep it in the same paragraph. This is reading, still in the same paragraph. Still in the same paragraph. Then this is the new paragraph. Please let me know if anything I'm doing, if you don't understand anything I'm doing, if you need me to come back to explain any other thing. But I'm just trying to go through everything that was transcribed to make sure that it's correct. And then for the long and imprudent, fruit boiled. This is like this is just the major thing you do when you are transcribing. Just try and make sure everything that was transcribed, instead of typing it out, just make sure everything fits and everything rhymes with what's in the actual book. So I think this is how it ends. It is remarkable, however, than most, and this is how it ends. So now we're going to preview before we publish. We are going to show preview. Let's look at what we've done. And so this is what we've transcribed. Now I think everything is in place except this two, this conversation that are in quotation marks. We are going to make them in different lines. So I'm going to re-edit that part. And I'm going to show preview again. Okay, so I guess this, now we'll see that our header, ticket please, and our page 54, rhyme to words here. And then our first paragraph, our second paragraph, the two conversations, the last paragraph. Okay, the inspector's name is John Thomas, is in the new line. So I'm going to do that same thing here. I'm going to show preview again, just to confirm that everything I'm doing is accurate. So now I can publish my page. Automatically it goes to this, I said the red needs to be preferred, yellow it needs to be validated. If there was a problem with this page, this is the purple I was talking about. If there's a problem with the page, I just tag it purple and publish the page. If it's a blank page that doesn't need to be proofread or transcribed, I target this white and I publish the page. But because I've done this, so now I publish the page. And so if I go back here to the home page of this work I'm working on, we can see that 54 is now on is now red with red background as opposed to the other ones how it was. And that's how you transcribe a fresh page. You click on the page, you use the Google OCR to bring out the text for you and just do the whole editing and alignment to make it align to what's on the actual book. So let's now assume the next page is this. The next work to do is to proofread that work. So if I click on 54, it tells me now this page needs to be proofread. Now my work to proofread is just to confirm that I could still be the same person doing it, or I could do this and then you could be the one proofreading it, or you could be the one transcribing, I could be the one proofreading it. Everybody can work on the same book simultaneously and continuously. So imagine someone else has transcribed this. So now my work is to proofread. Was there any mistake the person omitted? So I just look through. The main road is a very good feeling between. I just try to read through to find out that there's no mistake, to find out that the person did not omit anything, because obviously sometimes you could be working and there's something that your eye did not catch that another person's eye would catch. And then you just look through it to make sure it's correct. Everything is all okay. And as I read through, I didn't find any error. So I just go ahead, I say edit. If there was any error, while editing, I can make my corrections, the space, the spelling error, the quotation mark, the question mark, the comma, any slightest error you see. But because I haven't seen any, I go ahead to change it to yellow. Now it was on red before, now yellow, it's saying this work has been proofread but needs to be validated. So once I publish my change, we tell you this page has been proofread but needs to be validated, meaning a page goes through three different levels of how would I call it, of checks before it is validated. Now the good thing about Wikisource is now that I have proofread this work, I cannot validate this work again. Now if I do edit, there's no option of green. Yeah, I cannot validate this one, because if I was doing nonsense, I was the one who transcribed, I was the one who proofread. I was the one who transcribed, I was the one who proofread. I'm still the same person. Imagine I've been doing nonsense because I proofread and I transcribe. They need a second opinion to validate that work. So I personally cannot validate. If you go to this particular work now, you would have the option to validate. Once you open this same page that I am in, you will see an option of green. Where me, I cannot see an option of green because I was the one who transcribed and proofread this work. So they just need a second opinion aside the person who created that page and proofread the page, just so that there's no error, so that there are two sets of eyes looking through it. So now if I go back to the home page of this book, now you can see that 54 that was red is now yellow. Now, because I cannot proofread page 54, I can't use 54 to do an example. But 53 was proofread by someone else. So now I can validate page 53. So this page has been proofread, but it needs validation. It needs to be validated. So now I can come and edit. And you see that on my screen now, I would have the option of green. And this is green here for me. There's no green for me in page 54 because I was the one who worked on page 54. I was not the one who worked on page 53. That's why I have the option to validate 53. So all I need to do is just go through what the person has done again, find any little mistake, correction, spelling error, like the alignment of the page, just anything that may be wrong with the page. So I'm going to try and read through to see if there's any error. The authorities themselves declared deprived. And just scan through. And they're just trying to make sure that there is as little mistake as possible on each page. So now I've read through, I'm saying something, okay, I've read through and I've seen that, okay, this page is all okay. Now I can go ahead to change the status to green. So once I publish my change, you see that this page has been validated. And if we go back to our own page, 53 will now be green. So the goal is to make every single page green. So you start from white background with red text. So it having red text, red background, sorry, once it has been transcribed. So it having yellow background once it has been preferred, to it having green background once it has been validated. And so like I showed in the other example, sorry. This is what we want our work to look like, where every page has been validated. So we are trying to go from this to this. We want all our pages to be validated. And once all pages has been validated, this book you are seeing in text can be read like a Wikipedia article. Once it has been validated, you could read, let me try and find a work. Yes. Once all pages are green, now this novel that was once an hard copy can be read like this, like a Wikimedia article, can be read like this. Believe me, there are a lot of things to Wikisource, like these images, a lot of title pages, how to align them. But the basic thing is each page, each chapter can be read like a Wikimedia. Now, this is the chapter. It can be read like a Wikimedia article, it could be read like a blog, it could be read like a storybook on your laptop without having to flip each page one by one, one by one, one by one. So the goal is to get everything validated. So so far, is there any question? Okay, I'm seeing a question. Okay, how do we transcribe? I'm trying to read it here. How do we transcribe a newspaper page that has multiple sections in that one page? Okay, so I'll still get to that. Okay, let me just get to it now. Now, this is a bit tricky. So now let me find a newspaper on Wikisource. I think there's a newspaper that I have. There's a newspaper that I have worked on. I'm trying to remember the name of the paper. Let me check my history. I'm trying to check my contributions because I know I imported a newspaper recently. Okay, now this is a newspaper, 10th of August, 1957, Southern Nigeria Defender. Like I said, every work on Wikisource are public domain works, work that are without copyright. So now, like every work, once it's imported, they all appear red text, white background. So I think I've started working on this page 1. So let's just go to page 2. this is a bit dark. Let's go to page 3.
Hi, Busola.
Yes, hi.
Yeah, please, do you mind just showing the process of importing the newspaper to Wikisource?
Oh, okay. Um,
Thank you.
so far that I know, there are 2 ways to import a work to Wikisource: through Internet Archive and also through Wikimedia Commons. So I'm going to just show the one through Wikimedia Commons. So you have to find the work on Wiki Commons. And since it has to be a public domain work, I'll look for the PD Nigeria tab. Okay, PD Nigeria books. Okay, but because we want to work on a newspaper, like newspaper that has different columns, so let's use PD Nigeria newspapers. Okay, so I want to look for a very clear one that we can work on. Okay, so this is a Daily Times newspaper, 10th February 1960, Daily Times. Okay, so now we know that this is on Wiki Commons. So now I could come and search for this. I'll copy the file name, right? The file name and paste it on Wikisource. But instead of file, like I said, Wikipedia has articles, Wiki Commons has files, Wikidata has items, Wikisource has indexes. So I change file to index. Fine. Okay, yes, I changed file to index. So I copied the name of this file on Wiki Commons and I pasted it on my Wikisource search, and then I'll search for it. Oh, it's here already. Have I done this before? Okay, let me check on that one. I think I've done this. I'm surprised. Let me search for another one. Okay, let's see this one. Okay, this is Nigerian Morning Post, 10th July 1965. So I do the same thing. I copy it, copy the file name. I go to Wikisource and I search for it, but I change file to index. Okay, yes, so it's obviously telling me there were no results matching this query. Now I have the option to create this page because now it's in here. Like every Wikimedia project, once that page doesn't exist, it comes out as a red link. So now I click on this red link and it takes me to where to create this index. Now, what type of work is this? Is this a book? Because it's a newspaper, it's a collection, it's not a journal. If it's a journal, it's a thesis, a dictionary, a film, a book, collection, whatever type of work it is. Because this is a newspaper, I choose this is a collection. Now, what is the title? The title is this, without the index and without the .pdf. 10th July 1964, as named in Wikimedia Commons. If it was a book, you put the title of the book. If it was a journal, the title of the journal. What language is in English? Who is the author? The author is Nigerian Morning Post, because they are the author, they are the owners of this work. translator, editor, most of these are not needed. Publisher, location. Now, if we check Nigerian Morning Post, let's see, Apapa, Nigeria. Apapa is Lagos, right? Just trying to know where their headquarters is or where it is located.
It's usually on the newspaper. Check the last page of the newspaper. Like go to comments. Okay, on comments, yeah.
I'm just trying to find out the location.
Yeah, is it on the okay for morning post? Scroll up. It's usually like it's part of the commons file. Check the metadata, the data, the file information here. Okay. Wait, scroll up back. Scroll. Okay. The Nigerian National Bank, Malu Road,
Okay,
Apapa.
yeah. Mali Road, Apapa, Lagos. Okay. So we know that it's, where was I? Okay. We know the location is Lagos, Nigeria. Year of publication, this is a 1965 newspaper. It's my year of publication in 1965. If it's a book that has an ISBN, that has the OCLC, LCC, and you just put all the details. Publisher will still be Nigerian Morning Post. And it's a PDF file. Now our cover image is our page 1 because on our file, our page 1 is our cover image. Yes. So I can just copy this code. I would explain it when I'm pasting it in. So for our pages, so we'll leave all the settings like that. Then for our pages, I copied this code from the last work I imported. So we have our page list and have our cover page as page 1. We're just trying to do this so that it can import all 16, how many pages does this have? All 16 pages from Wikimedia Commons. Now, and so when I do this, I can come and publish my page after filling all this, the details, the major details, the type of collection, the title, the author, publisher, location, year, and then the type of work it is, our cover page. I do publish page. Now, once I do this, I should be seeing all, here it is. So now I've imported this newspaper from Wikimedia Commons to Wikisource. It's in Wikimedia Commons as a file, it's in Wikisource as an index, and I have all 16 of my pages. Progress, okay, so I need to change my progress to be preferred. Yes, so I have my newspaper now. So this is how you import a work. There's another way for importing from Internet Archive, but I do not know how to do that. I only know how to import from Wikimedia Commons. So this is how to import a public domain work from Wikimedia Commons to Wikisource. Now, I said Wikisource, this is only public domain materials. So if I import a work from Wikimedia Commons that is not in the public domain, yes, maybe a work that is copyrighted, I really do not know what's going to happen. I'm just guessing there are people watching Wikisource space, and once you import a work that is copyrighted, it will be removed. Because so far, all works that I've seen and I've shown since we started this call are all public domain works. So now back to the question, I click on my, like I said, once you import a work, it comes out red text, white background. So now, with a novel, it was very easy. We just do transcribe text and do Google OCR. But if we do this here, it will bring out a lot of jargons because the texts are not written in the text. These do not align because now it's going to be proofreading it like this, that's vertically, right? Meanwhile, our stories are in columns horizontally. So now this is more difficult than the average book. Like a book is very easy to transcribe. So I could just first of all make my header the name of the newspaper. And so now this is the first story I want to capture, right? This one here. Chief Akintola is 55 today. So instead of doing transcribe text Google OCR, I go to advanced option. Now when I click advanced option, it takes me to Wikimedia OCR. So it also does the old transcribe, but then I just copy and backspace everything. Now I want to get this story. So what I do is I get this tool up here, and then I highlight with the box what I wanted to copy. So this, I say transcribe area, it gives me my heading. Chief Akintola is 51 today. I can do this, I can align it. And then I go back again, and then I don't know if you're seeing what I'm doing. I take my box to where I want the text to come out. I take my box to where I want the text to come out, and then I transcribe that area. So it gives me that first piece of story, and then I take it to the next box. I transcribe the area. It gives me my next text of story, and then I can now, oh wow, I was supposed to be copying it rather, sorry. So I think I'll just start again. My Chief Akintola is, I transcribe this. When I get my text, I copy it and go back to the page I'm creating and I paste. And then I go back to my Wikimedia OCR. I take my box to what I want it to transcribe for me. I transcribe that area. I copy to clipboard. I go back to the page I'm trying to create and I paste. We'll come back to edit it. And then I take my box to the next section I'm trying to transcribe area. It does that for me. I copy to clipboard. And so I have successfully transcribed this. I've successfully transcribed this part of the story. So like I did with the other book, we just align everything we've transcribed, where there needs to be a paragraph, where there needs to be a stop, where there needs to be a new paragraph. And obviously, because it's OCR, there'll be some issues. Like now, see here now, it says the premier who is expected to be present, but then my OCR brought it out, the premier who is expected to capital letter E, small letter A. So I make that change to be BE instead of EE, because actually it looks like EE here, but because you know what you're reading, you know that it's supposed to be BE, not EE. So those are the little corrections you can make. Pardon this morning, since yesterday is in a new paragraph. And this is also a new paragraph. New paragraph. Maybe this is not as straightforward as just proofreading a book. Fulfill his mission. And then this is in bold, would make this bold also. They are trying to make it as similar to what is. So let's preview and see what we have as our story. So we have morning post, the yes, 55 to commiserate. Okay, to commiserate is also supposed to be bold. So I'll do that. And then we have our story. So now I can continue editing. Now I've gotten my first story. I want to get my next story, which is somewhere here. Okay, let me just make this Nigerian morning post. Only true, because this is a short paragraph. That's I'm just typing it up. You could use the Google CR to also get out the text. And then this is our next story, Igbo B, Reverend Kill steps in. And this is where the story ends. So you do the same thing. Our next story, I'll use my advanced option. It will take me to Wikimedia OCR, and I do the same thing. I get my copying tool, and then I first forget. Okay, I could just get it straight down. You can adjust your circle, and then I get it to where I get a perfect box. Right? You can adjust it so that you get all the letters, and then transcribe here. I copy to clipboard. Yes. Go back to my Wikimedia OCR. Where did it stop? It stopped here. Ensure that, so the next line will start from here, and I just adjust my box. Ensure that I adjust my box. To the end of the story, and then I transcribe area. I copy to clipboard, and then I come here and I paste, and then I start editing it again. This is my title. There are a lot of editings you could do. You could underline each sub story within the page. You could make them bold, make them bigger, but just then I start with my story. I try to increase this so I can see what I'm doing. So the chairman of the board to college was bold, so I make it bold. I try to align my work. Then a new paragraph. This follows the thread by the entire to be compelled. Then the chairman listens. Family misunderstanding to the board. A new paragraph. Bishop Gill declared Most unfortunate. Up to you denied. The new paragraph, you denied the allegation. Mr. person disciplined. This is statements. So it's generally more stressful than just a plain book. Then the board. Here, his reputation. Just make little corrections I can see. The board is scheduled to meet again today to discuss the details. So now this is my second story. And when I show preview, I have my first story, which you can tell us 55 today. I can make it bold, make it underlined, make it a bit bigger so that I know that this is the beginning of a first story. And then this E will be Reverend Kill steps in. I'll make it same, bigger, underlined, bold, to know that it's a new story. And now on this page, I have two stories. And that's what you do for the rest of the page. You just keep using the advanced option to get out your stories. So I don't know if this answered the question.
Okay, yes. Sorry, I'm moving that. Anyway, I want to ask: is it possible to publish an unfinished work, just like we done here?
Yes, I can, but then you should because okay, where am I? Okay, now I can go ahead to publish. Okay, wait, I think I did that for this one. Let me see. I think I did that for this one. Yes, this work now. This work. Let me see. I think it's just the first story that is there. Following the mass. Yes, it's just the first story that is there and it's published. That is why someone else is going to proofread it. That's why, like I said, this page now you go through three different eyes. So if I'm a different person now that comes to say, I know that obviously this work is not complete. It cannot, I shouldn't validate it. If probably for any reason I choose to go ahead to say, okay, I've gone through this, so it's okay, and I use my yellow and I change it to validated. You know, with this now, because I'm the same person that transcribed this, I cannot validate it. There's still going to be one more person that will still look at this work and know that, no, this work is not complete. So unless all three people just choose to overlook it, which I don't think should be possible, this work would not be validated until it is complete. So if I go ahead to publish this, which one was I creating? If I go ahead to publish this, the person that is going to proofread it is going to see that it's not complete. If the person chooses to overlook that, the person that's going to validate it is also going to see that it's not complete. So I could publish this because I don't want to lose all my edits. Then I can come back to it to continue, because for works like newspapers, it's really stressful. Like to sit down in one sitting to get all the text from one page. Then imagine getting all the text from all 16 pages. It could take you a while. So it could just be publishing your work and then you go back to edit it to keep building on it. But and there's something to point out, you make sure that you leave it at to be preferred. You don't change the page status because you know you're not done working. Probably when I'm now done working with it, I now change the page status to be validated so that someone else can go through what I've done to see if it's okay, to see if there's something that they can add before it is being validated. Is that clear? Is that all right? Does that answer the question?
I think it works.
So is there any other question concerning regular books, newspapers, Wikisource in general?
I don't think there is any. We can just go over what we had explained earlier today. We'll
Okay,
move
so
on to next time.
okay, I was talking about some basic HTML. So these are just a few codes that I wrote down. For an indented paragraph, you can use these codes. Everything that is in quotes, that in these curly brackets, are the HTML you use in Wikisource. To get a bullet point, use this. To get this kind of bullet point, to use this. To get this kind of bullet point, to use this. To get an indented bullet point, to use this. To centralize a work, use this. To underline a work, use this. By text means what I want to centralize. Text means what I want to underline. So let me use an example of this. So with this code now, if I come to this I was working on, and I want to centralize this. So what I need to do is get my curly brackets. So I'll say C and then my text. This is what I mean. By text is what it is I want to centralize. And so when I come to show preview, you see now this text is centralized. That's what I mean by text in this. So you could get all this by looking at other people's work, because there are some works that are more complicated and more like there are a lot of tables there, and then you could also use Wikisource to transcribe a table and to come out as a table too. So if you see a work with a table, just go and look as if you're trying to edit it, then look at the source file, how it was written, how they did everything to make a work bold. This is same with even Wikipedia, the 3 quotation marks, to make it italic, 2 quotation marks. For a redacted part, there are some documents that are redacted, all these confidential secretive materials. So if a word was redacted on the original material and I want to also redact it, I use this code. If I want it to be white, I use color white. If I want it to be black, I use color black. To make a vertical line, I use this code. To make a tab, that's for a text to float to either the right or to the left. I use this. This for, there are some books where the first page, the first letter is always very big. Like the book starts with the boy, so the T is very big, and then HEBOY is now the normal text. So for works like that, this is the text. This is the code you use. So you do DI, this symbol, then this letter will be the letter T, and then your HEBOY will now be in your normal text. To make all caps, you can literally do that with your keyboard, but this is the code for it. To add the link, this is the code. To add the signature, there are a lot of basic HTML on Wikisource that you could learn from looking at other people's work and looking at how they've done it. So I'll just do a brief summary of all I have done. Let me go back to main page. To start editing a wiki page, you could come to the proofread of the month. Then you could go to monthly challenge. There are a lot of books. There are a lot of books on Wikisource. There are novels. If you love reading novels, like now, all these are books. All these are novels. All these are literally works. Now, a warning to the curious and other good stories. If you feel like reading it and while reading it, you want to be working, okay, this has been validated as is complete. It has been completely worked on. But if you are looking for a collection of full years, you could search if you know a work. Okay, now this is a work now that it has all been proofread but hasn't all been validated. So you could start validating from page 160. You click on 160. I read through 60 voice. I try and go through. Is there any mistake? Is there any error the person made? Okay, now how you learn things. Now this was centralized, and also this page number footer here was also centralized. How did they do that? What I need to do is come and do like as if I'm editing it. And then I say, oh, this was how it was centralized, the header, that same code I showed, curly brackets, C with this symbol and then the title. So I know that this is how to centralize a work. So now I can easily learn this. If I want to centralize a work in the document I'm working on, I've seen the code here. Same thing for the footer. How was this page 160 shown like that? It was included in the footer with. So I've learned a new thing. Now I've learned how to put a page number on a book because I went through this book. I saw how this person did it. And so since I've read through, there's no error, there's no mistake from this. It looks all right. I can go ahead. Now, because I wasn't now, see that I'm seeing the green option. I wasn't the one who transcribed or proofread this work. I have the option to validate it and then I publish change. Now, when you validate a work, does not mean it cannot still be edited. If you validate a work and then you see there's still an error, you can still edit and make your corrections. It doesn't mean once you validate the work, no change can be made again. No. And if you see that there are a lot of mistakes on this, I can take it back to proofread, or even it needs proofreading. I can take it back. I can change the page status that no, this work, even though it has been validated, it still has a lot of things, a lot of mistakes, a lot of errors. I can take it back and publish my change, and then it changes the page status. So proofreading does not mean editing cannot be made again. So there are a lot of books. You could search for some books. If you know the title of a work, search for it. If it's on Wikisource, you'll find it here. If it's not on Wikisource, if you have the physical copy, like if I have a novel now with me that it's in the public domain, I can scan it, and through the way I uploaded from Wikicommons, you can upload it on Wikicommons, and then from Wikicommons you import it to Wikisource, and then your book that was once a physical copy in your hand is now a full-blown novel on Wikisource. And like I said, once everything has been validated, you get to read it. Once everything has been validated, you get to read it like an article. Now this has all been validated. I get to read it. I get to read it as an article. I get to read it as a story, as a blog post, or as a Wikimedia article or anything. I get to read it like this. What was once in pages is now a whole page of story. So, and from this, let's see if this, let's go back here. Okay, now this book, there's a Wikipedia article on it. There's a Wikidata item on it. So if I click on Wikipedia article, it takes me to the Wikipedia article for this book, A Warming to the Curious and Other Good Stories. This is the Wikipedia article of the book. And if I go to Wikidata item, it takes me to the Wikidata item of this book, A Warning to the Curious and Other Good Stories. It takes me to the Wikidata item. So you could link them all. If you see a Wikisource book, and you see there's a Wikipedia article, we link it together. If you see there's a Wikidata item for this same book, you can link it. And even through this Wikisource, you could have a lot of references if you want to create a Wikipedia article. Imagine this didn't have a Wikipedia article. Now I can create a Wikipedia article and I have a lot of references because now I can reference this book that was once a physical book in my room, but is now a story on Wikisource. So, don't know. I think I've come to the end of my training. I don't know if there's any additional question that needs to be asked or anything that needs to be clarified. Okay, if there are no questions, I think we've come to the end of this training. I hope we've learned one new thing, and I hope we've learned something new today. So I'll just hand the mic over to Alafia to round up the session. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I think we have Mrs. Oye left here as an external member. Thank you so much, Ma, for joining up to this moment. We appreciate you. Olubusola, we also appreciate your efforts. Thank you so much. I would implore everyone here to practice what we've learned, and we can come back with questions. In the coming days, we'll try and upload this session on a drive and give access to everyone. Thank you. We'll see you later. Bye, Ma.